So welcome to Empowered Elites Team Call for March 1st. Before we get started tonight, I just have some quick housekeeping things I want to go over in case you didn't see them today. And then we're going to have Miss Laura share about her new leadership conference experience and takeaways. And then I'm going to share with you how I plan out my months so that things always go smoothly and so that I always ensure I hit my non-negotiable goals, and just so that you kind of feel like you know what you're doing from week to week. It makes it super simple. So to get started, if you didn't see, the All Access Challenge Pack is here to stay for good, and that is our Challenge Pack promo this month, and I don't know for how long moving forward, but it is staying at the $199 price for the All Access Challenge Pack, which is awesome. The only thing that has changed is that you will get 2 Success Club points for this challenge pack instead of 3 like it was up until the end of last month. So that is new. The Success Club prize, if you hit Success Club this month, is a Performance Line Sampler Pack, which is awesome if you've never tried the Performance Line. They give you a sample of Energize, of Hydrate, of Recover, of Recharge, and the creatine, but it all comes in a fun little box. And if you're in Canada, they're doing 10 Energized sample packets for the Success Club prize. So also we have Super Saturday coming up. So mark your calendars and make sure you get to the link in the team page to find a local event near you, especially if you have never been to one. Super Saturdays are absolutely incredible. You get to connect with coaches in your area. You hear up and coming things that are happening in the company. I know that 3 new workout programs are going to be launching this year, so we never have any idea when they're coming, but usually when they do, a lot of times they are announced at Super Saturdays. So it's just also, you just hear a lot of really inspiring stories from coaches that have had great success in this company, and hear from different coaches about, tips to have success or create different systems and things that you want in your business. So they're super helpful to get to. And again, that is going to be on April 8th. Summit, if you haven't yet registered for Summit, you can still do so. I posted that on the banner of the team page for today as well too. Summit is huge. I know I preach about this all the time, but it's a must-get-to investment in your business if you really want to run with this. There's no other experience that even comes close to getting to Summit and being there in the flesh with 40,000 plus coaches. Last couple things. Our new coach boot camp kicks off on the 6th. So if you are a new coach, or you have new coaches, or you have been talking to people about coaching, this is a good time to follow up with them and get them ready and into the team page and get them set up to join our new coach boot camp. And that's about it. Does anybody have any recognition or anything that they want to shout out this week before we get started?
Hey, so this is unofficial, but I'm going to have something bright and shiny tomorrow, and I'm pretty excited. And she's not on here right now, but I'll be posting tomorrow. And make sure you wish my girl a happy day tomorrow. So.
Awesome. I have some exciting news tomorrow too, and we know there's some exciting news coming for you as well. Does anybody else have anything they want to shout out this week?
And Dana, I think, but hopefully you'll have some exciting news. You guys are being so vague, but we'll post about all this tomorrow if you don't know what about.
Vague plays it up to excitement, right? Okay, well, if there's nothing else to shout out, I asked Laura to come on this week and share about her experience at New Leadership Conference. So if you don't really know what New Leadership Conference is, New Leadership Conference is an absolutely awesome event that you can get to, that they host once a year. There is specific qualifications that you have to meet to get to this event, including being a 2-star diamond coach. So that means that Laura has helped two girls on her team get to that place of highest potential in their business, and is, you know, really leading from the front. She's being really consistent, and earned her spot to go to that event. And it's just an absolutely amazing weekend in LA, where you get to go to corporate, and well, she can share the rest about that. But I really wanted her to share, because I have even seen just in the past few days, the motivation and the inspiration that she came home with, and so excited for her to share her top takeaways from that event. So have at it, Laura.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. This is meshing with my Team Mountain Strong team call tonight too. Doesn't only my girl Kelly's on, which is awesome, and she is one of my diamonds that helped get me to New Leader Conference, which is incredible. I also I've actually helped 3 people get to diamond. My first diamond is no longer part of my team, because she is my sister, and she realized that she all of the empowerment of becoming a Beachbody coach and being part of our team made her realize that she was strong enough and smart enough to go back to school, and she's in nurse midwifery school. So I'm super proud and happy for her. But that meant that I had to rebuild diamonds. And I guess I like feel overwhelmed to talk about it, because there's so much that happened this past weekend. And I tried like taking notes on my notes that I took over the weekend, and like trying to like sum up how I felt. And it's really, really hard. So I feel like I went into the weekend not feeling like the leader, and kind of just feeling like I lucked out with my girls. I've got these great people that became diamond coaches, and like one of my issues has always been kind of like not a lot of self-esteem, and kind of just thinking like it's not really anything attributed to me that they're diamonds. And I think I left the conference knowing that I am a leader, and that it is my job to be more than that for them. And so anyway, what's so amazing about this is, for those of you who have been to Summit, I've been to Summit a couple times. And if you have not been to Summit, FYI, when I went to Summit for the first time, I had been a coach, I think, I don't know, for like 6 weeks. Like I joined Dana, I hit diamond in 28 days, I think. And then my sister followed me, and she hit diamond in like 2 months. So I hit star diamond just after Summit, actually. But I got to Summit and I was like blown away. And it's just like so incredible to network and be around other coaches. And then this past year I went, and that was really incredible. And I was, again, like totally inspired. If you've been to a Super Saturday but not a Summit, Summit's like 8 billion times what a Super Saturday is. So you guys all have to go. If you're on this call, it's because you want to do something with coaching. So if you do, you need to be at Summit, basically. It's absolutely worth your investment. So the amazing thing about Leader Conference is that you have to get there, but then they pay for everything. So I just have to tell you, because I'm just so like little small town Vermont, now small town Colorado girl. I get to the hotel and I'm like FaceTiming my husband, and I'm like, this is like amazing. Like I have views of LA. This is so pretty. And then I open the closet and there's a white robe in it. And I'm like kind of embarrassed, because I'm so not used to being in nice places. And I was like, can I wear this, or do I have to pay for it, or how does this work? And he's like, no, babe, like you can wear it. Like clearly we don't go to nice places a lot. And it was all paid for by Beachbody. We sign in, and they give us all this bag of swag, and this new, like brand new friend and I, who she was a girl from Utah, and we happened to share an Uber to the thing. We we're going through our swag and taking selfies, and it was just like super exciting and fun, because you feel kind of pampered and special. And anyway, sorry, I'm getting text messages over here. We went to our first session, and immediately I knew that this was like meant for us. It was like really specific. It wasn't just a general session for any coach, emerald, diamond, whatever. It was meant for new emerging leaders. And I started to think like, well, shit, maybe I'm here for a reason. Like maybe I'm a leader, you know? And we had all of these amazing coaches. And one of the people that stuck out to me the most, you guys, so where I was, new leader, thanks, Christina. One of the coaches, Ashley Smith, so she's in the top 10 coaches for 2017. She came on stage. She's like super pregnant and she was like kind of sweating. And I'm such a sweater. So I was like, my heart was aching for a little because she's like, excuse the sweating, I'm pregnant. And I'm like, I would be doing that even if I wasn't sweating. But I mean, even if I wasn't pregnant, I'd be sweating because I'd be nervous. Anyway, she was at the New Leader Conference last year. So she was a new leader last year, probably somewhere between 2-star and 5-star, wherever that, I think she was 5-star because she was elite at the New Leader Conference last year. But regardless, how did we let him in? She was a new emerging leader last year at this time, and she is in the top 10 coaches of all Beachbody right now for 2017. So if that doesn't like leave an impression on your heart, and FYI, she had a toddler, like a 1-year-old, and she accidentally sort of got pregnant, and now she's 6.5 months pregnant. So like these things can be done where we are at. Yes, she says the same thing with Bonnie Engel the year before. So it just like left an impression on my heart because just like our challengers, like I come up with, excuse me, 1 second. Excuse me, I am on a call. Please stop yelling. Sorry, guys. So I am a nice mom, but I told them not to bother me during this call. Anyway, where was I? So basically what it made me realize is that we have excuses too. Just like our challengers, I come up with reasons that like I can't do my power hour or I can't plan my month because I'm a nurse and my schedule's crazy. I can't do this. I can't do that. I come up with these excuses because it helps me to have excuses, right? Just like our challengers. And so we need to cut the shit, basically. If you want to, I don't need to be a top 10 coach, like quite honestly. I mean, Ashley said that wasn't her goal either. That's not one of my goals. What is my goal is to support my family. What is my goal is to bring my husband home from a job he absolutely despises. What is my goal is to not worry every month about how we're going to pay our bills. Thank you, Sophie. And I need to keep that in the forefront of my mind. So there are things that I need to do. I need to lead by example. If I'm telling my team to do their power hours, you bet your ass I better be doing them. If I'm telling my team to plan their month, well, I better have a freaking plan for my month. It's March 1st. So I got home. I mean, I have so many things to say and I'm not even reading from my notes at all. So I'm going to jump around. I'm really sorry. We had so many amazing speakers when we were there. One of only whom was Ashley Smith, who I like am obsessed with. And she's the most adorable little pregnant lady there is. And she seems very humble and normal. And she's just like any of us, you guys. Like she has no leg up. She has no like prior, multi-level marketing strategies. Like she is just like you and I, and she is a top 10 coach. So just use that to fuel your business and know that the excuses we make, they may help you in the moment because you want to go to sleep or you want to drink a glass of wine or whatever it may be, but it's probably not going to help you in the long run. So one of the things that I think it was Jeff Hill, I was like so starstruck because I got to like hug and mingle with a lot of these people too. I was like standing next to Joel in line at breakfast and Joel, the trainer, Joel and Jericho, and I like just wanted to touch him, but I know that would be really creepy. So I didn't, but I was like too shy to talk to him because I'm really shy around boys I think that are cute. So I didn't talk to him, but I stared at him and that was fun too. Anyway, going back to one of the things Jeff Hill said is that good is the enemy of great. And I'm sure that a lot of you have heard that before, but I think that is like, it really rung true for me because kind of a lot of times I just like float along and I'm like, all right, I'm doing good. I actually say well, because I'm really like weird about the English language and it's well, not good. But I'm like, all right, I'm doing good. I may not be great, but I'm doing pretty good. And I I feel like I have the ability to be great. And that's one of the things that leader training taught me. I know that I can do this. A lot of other 2-stars that were there had built their husband and their mother's account, which is incredible, you guys, because like I would be too overwhelmed to build that many accounts, but I'm building a team. I have working diamond coaches under me, helping me build my team, and I'm helping them build their teams. And that's like pretty incredible that I have this team growing. And so like together we can do a lot. It's that whole saying, like, you know, by yourself you can do little, together you can do a lot, whatever that, I never get sayings right. But one of the other things that Jeff Hill said that was really like just important to me is he talked about the Stockdale paradox, which is like a prisoner of war type of thing. I don't know what, I can't remember the exact story. I'm really sorry. But there were all these people that were held captive, basically. And the person, this guy that got out, he said he never lost hope in his capabilities. But the people that didn't get out, that died there, were people who were eternal optimists. They were just like, the grass is always, you know, everything's going to be great. Everything is fine. We will survive, blah, blah, blah. But they never confronted the reality of the situation. So he said he never lost hope, but he confronted the reality of the situation. Confront the brutal reality of where you are now. If you can't hit SC for the life of you, confront that and figure out a way to move forward. So if I had this past a couple weeks ago, I had a challenger who I reached out to see if she wanted to be part of my, next challenge group. And she wrote back to me and she said, you know what? I don't really feel like you were there for me. I don't really feel like you were a great coach. I feel like you signed me up and then I was on my own. And I literally like wanted to vomit when I read it. It was so awful. And it like hurt me to my core, not because she said anything mean, but because it was true. I looked back at her messages and I'm like, holy shit, I forgot about her. And she really just kind of fell off my radar. And that's terrible. But, not to make excuses, but it was some of the hardest months of my life. And I didn't have a good organization system down and some people fell off, and that's like on me. That's 100% on me. So we had a few different sessions with Melanie Mitro, who has been the top coach now for 3 years in a row. It's pretty incredible. And she's super organized. She has a great planning system. She shared a lot of stuff with us. And I just, even prior to going to leadership, I was like, all right, this is not acceptable for me. It's not acceptable for me to have anyone feel like I signed them up for a number and then they're not important and I forget about them, because that's not my prerogative. It never has been. So I started, organizing. And one of the things Melanie Mitchell talked a lot about was organizing your month, like the third week of every month, sitting down and planning your next month. And I never do that. I'm like literally one of the most disorganized persons like ever. Like Dana was saying when we were at leadership retreat in Florida, she's like, it looks like a freaking tornado went through our room, because I was sharing with her. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty much how I roll. Like there's always a tornado where I follow. So it makes organization a little bit hard. So, my husband, who has recently really jumped 100% on board with me, knowing and supporting that this is something I'm really passionate about, he recently made a whole desk for me. Like he's gotten several, it looks like there are people that are not muted, maybe Dana, there's like background. I don't know if you guys hear it. But I'm coming up with systems, and I don't think you need to spend your days coming up with systems, but you need to have a system so that you do not forget about people who are relying on you to coach them. Like you don't need to be there every second. I'm not saying that, but if you sign somebody up, part of this entire process is giving them a good experience. Like the one of the things I talked about at leadership is the very first step is you sign someone up and then you give them an amazing experience. That's how you find coaches. So you give them an amazing experience, you move forward, you give them, they have results, and then they want to pass it forward. So that's part of the process. And I'm not saying that you do that for yourself to build your business, but that's part of the process. And even if they never want to build a business or pass it on forward, you want to know that you provided them with a good experience. So Sorry, I just want to look and see quickly because I can't see the quotes. I mean the chat. Yeah, so Sophie, I think you were saying maybe you're as messy as I am and disorganized. So basically you just need to find things that work for you, and it's a thing of trial and error. My most recent thing is putting all of my new signups like in a list and having check boxes so that I can see visually in front of me they got their thank you card in the mail. I sent that out. Well, first, I send their welcome email. Then I make sure they fill their form out. Then I send their thank you card. Then we do our check-in, 2 days before the challenge group starts. Then I made videos and posted them to YouTube so I can send them to people. I sent them to everyone that started my Loving Yourself challenge group. I'm sorry, you guys, I'm not very organized and I feel all over the place. But another thing, speaking of Loving Yourself challenge group, is you need to find things that speak to you. So my Loving Myself challenge group, I've gotten a lot of really good feedback on it, and I got a lot of people interested in it because that is like, I've come to find, I think I knew it before and I just didn't realize how it would impact other people, but that's my niche because that's been like a huge thing for me, is figuring out how to love myself. So, Melanie was saying that, she ran a challenge group once with one of her friends it was a bikini boot camp, and her friend had 10 new challengers and she had 0 because bikini boot camp is not her thing. Like, she's not going for a bikini bod. She's going for whatever, a mom happy bod. I don't know what you want to call it. But you need to find out what speaks to you. So, going back to organizing, and instead of just creating to-do lists every day, start creating doing lists. So things that your top 3 things that are actually going to get done that day. Then you can do your whole, I like to do, we call it the brain dump, but throw down every single thing I want to do, but then I need to choose a couple of things that I put on that list that I'm actually going to get done. And then a really big part of this, especially for me who's totally disorganized, is thanks, Stephanie, but I am all over the place, is going back at the end of the day. I tend to either have a glass of wine, which makes me I don't really care, or B, I'm really tired. I'm working night shift these days, more excuses. I feel exhausted all the time. Called the Storyline Productivity Schedule. It's awesome for prioritizing after the do list. Oh, that's really awesome, Kel. The Storyline Productivity Schedule. It's a document.
Can you see this? Oh, I didn't realize I wasn't muted. Whoops. Good thing I didn't do anything weird. Anyway. Yeah, I heard about it on a podcast. It's freaking awesome. I actually was just talking about it. I printed off 1,000,000 of them and I hole punched them and put them in a binder, but it helps you pick your 3 projects, and then you have a brain dump at the bottom. It says, if I could do today all over again, what would I do differently? Things I get to enjoy today. And then you write down your appointments, and then you write down your vision or your life theme at the bottom. It's freaking awesome. You could just I'll post it in the team so you could print it off, but it's so helpful.
Yeah.
I have a quick question, Laura.
Yeah.
When you were talking about giving them a really good experience, did anyone talk about people who just don't want to go into the tracker app, and how do you still give them a good experience for all these people that, did anyone talk about that?
What do you mean that they don't want to go in the tracker app? You mean
I have new challengers and they're just they sort of do their own thing, and there's not so much going on Facebook in my group, so I just have to I text message them and everything, but they're not really getting my daily information.
And but that part's on them, Terry, because you can't, if they're not going to do, it's just like anybody, you can't make them do that. If they're not going to be part of your challenge group and watching what you have to offer, I don't think that it's necessarily, definitely all the top coaches are all about the tracker app, because that is where Beachbody's moving. That's where they want us to move. And it's also easier for us as coaches, really, because it saves all of our stuff, obviously. But I think that you reaching out to them and just saying like, I really, really want you to check the app. Like that's where I'm posting stuff every day. Like I can check in with you. But Kelly and I have actually talked about this before. I used to offer to my challengers that I would check in with them every day if they wanted. And like, quite honestly, as I'm like, I can't keep up with that. I have 3 kids, a job, body job, which takes a lot of time. I cannot check in every day. I can check in a couple times a week. I can definitely commit to that. But I'm checking in every day in the challenge group, and that is part of why you signed up with me. So that's on you. Check that.
Lauren has a thing that's Lauren's phone is on.
Oh, it just like my Google Calendar, which I'm using now, just alerted me that something else was changing. So that's happened to me too. I don't know if that answers your question, but I think you just need to do the best that you can do. If there's something, but have a conversation with them about it.
I would also just suggest that you have a Facebook group running and you post the same content in it. And so if they would rather just be in Facebook or at least see that information, that at least they're getting it somewhere.
Well, I have like a group of like 55 people that are my people that I've signed up in some way since last summer. Dana, do you post everything you post in your tracker, and do you have like a group of people?
I right now have my group in Facebook, but when I ran the health bet, I still had my Facebook group running at the same time. And for my March group, I'm going to have both as well.
And Sari, I have both going right now, and I post the exact same content, but that's not like, I eventually want to have my, I think Kelly does this, but my Facebook group to be my ongoing, like
that's what mine is, but it's so hard. I have a good plan, but it's like hard to keep up with everything.
It is.
What if this is my long-term goal that hasn't happened yet, but I don't know if we've talked about this before, but in the ongoing group, you could put in like albums. Like that's what I'm going to do, is like do a prep week in that. So if you have someone that doesn't want to use the app, just put all your prep week stuff in an album and then tag them in the post. It's like, hey, start here. And, they see all the stuff. So it's like already set up with like images, like prep info, whatever. Like,
I love that, Kelly. That's an awesome idea.
And I did
Lake
too.
LaRoe. Sorry.
What's that? Yeah, right. Exactly. I did like YouTube videos for prep. Like I had one for basically Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So, 2 days before, 1 day before, and then the day of videos that I sent them to make sure that they were like on track for that day. And then I check in with them now on day 1. And then, throughout obviously, but I'm trying to come up with a better thing because I like lost that person, like I said, and she didn't feel support for me. And that's like heartbreaking to me.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I don't know what's left on the agenda, and maybe if we want to pick this up, but like it's on topic as far as kind of one-to-one coaching with people without it being a huge burden, and using I have some ideas on this and I just don't know if it exists or not, and I was hoping to talk to some people about it, like kind of what we're talking about, but I have some more questions about that.
I don't totally understand what the question is, but I still have more to say about my NLC.
Yeah.
Because I could talk forever about it. I don't know what you're asking, Megan. I'm sorry.
I don't want to take up your time. I'm sorry. That's kind of my point. Because I want to talk more on that particular point about working with challengers and helping them track their progress and keeping them engaged and keeping them on, even if they're not engaged in the day-to-day challenge groups, basically. But I don't want to take up your time. So I kind of want to let you like talk about what you're going to talk about, but I'd love to come back to this topic and talk about it as a group.
Okay. Yeah.
Dane, I feel like that could be like a call.
Yeah, totally. So just a couple more points, I'm sorry, that I want to like make. This is not like a clear cut thing, but one thing that we talked a lot about, a few coaches talked about, is being a productive coach versus a busy coach. And I think a lot of times I get really drawn into the whole busy coach mentality, and I need and want to be present for my family. So I therefore like really need to focus on being a productive coach. And so that has to do too with making your like doing lists and what you're actually going to accomplish and planning your months ahead of time. And then in terms of your lists, that you still need to find joy in those things, because if you're not finding joy in the things that you're doing, it's going to come across to your people, and they're not going to find joy in it. So, and then this is like so all over the place. I can't remember my notes who talked about these things, but the other thing is making sure that like no matter what you're doing, that you have belief in what you're doing, that it is like, you know, the impact that you can have on other people. And it like for those of you who have kids, I know a lot of you do, when you like look at your kids and you're like, holy shit, I love them so much, it's like hurting me. Like you want to have that belief about what you're doing. Like, holy crap, I have so much potential to make impact right now. It like hurts. And like it's bursting out of you, that you know you can change things for people and make lives better for people. And that you want to try to get that out to your audience, to the people who follow you. That was something else. Another thing, I'm sure you've been asked before, but what would your life look like in the future right now, 20 years from now, if you weren't afraid to fail at what you're doing? Are you always afraid that you're going to fail? If you weren't ever afraid that you were going to fail, what would your goals be? And to think of those, that may have actually been Jeff Hill. I can't remember. And then Ashley Smith talked about joy setting, and instead of goal setting, joy setting. So think of things that will give you joy and bring you joy in your future, and set goals for those things. I guess my other thing that was really impactful for me is I wish I could remember who said this actually, because I like just made notes upon my notes, but there's like literally like, it's insane how like it just was, the whole thing was so inspiring. But none of you, Adventures of the Soul and The Desire Map are incredible must reads for sure. Both two of my favorite books. But don't underestimate your ability to make an impact on other people, whether you make an impact on like 2 people or 200 people or 2,000 people or 2 million people. You have the ability to make an impact on people. So keep sharing your story, because I think people get discouraged. And I know that it's discouraging when you work on a post, you work on being real and authentic, and like nobody pays attention. But know that people are paying attention, and you have an ability to impact their lives in a really like good and positive way. And then take that like gut-wrenching excitement over the way you can change people's lives and use it and talk to people and be real, and don't make fake conversation. Don't be inauthentic. Reach out to people because you want to share your story with them, not because you're trying to sell a challenge pack. So, and then if you're starting to lead a team, believe you're a leader, because I finally kind of believe that I do. And I say kind of because that's totally my nature, and I shouldn't say that. I believe that I am a leader, and I'm excited to lead my team into the next year. So that's my takeaways.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Love it. So many awesome takeaways, Laura. Does anybody have questions for Laura about anything she talked about?
Crickets.
Okay, I have one other, I have a million questions, but how did you feel talking to other people, like just about team culture and like meeting people from different, teams? Obviously we have the best team culture, but I'm just curious, like what it's like to be, I haven't gone to Summit yet, but I feel like you were more intimate on this. So did you like think of anything interesting? Like, wow, I can't believe our team does this, or we don't do this, or something?
The whole thing was like really, really impactful, and like just meeting so many other coaches, and like every coach that you meet was like, what's your story? Like, what do you talk about? Will you talk on my team call? And like everybody was super interested in like sharing. I know, this is completely random to even go off on this, but when I have a friend that's on like a different team that is an ex-drug addict. I like love her more than anything. And she's on a different team. And she once invited me to be part of like this group she was putting on, and the coaches she was doing it with like ended up having me leave because they didn't want any other coaches in it. And it was like so strange to me. I was like, it's not like I'm going to steal their people. Like I went in there to support Jackie, you know? And that was like one of the things they talked about at Leader Retreat is if you have something that's working, share it with other people. Like they're not taking from you. And this is like, it just, the being there made it feel even more like a team, like not my team Mountain Strong, but like Team Beachbody, and like that we're all in this together and we all have a common mission, though like our goals might be different. We all want to use these products and these things that are set forth for us to make better lives for ourselves and for other people. So it just was really, I don't know, it just felt very family-like. Like I didn't meet a single person that wasn't incredible, and everybody was there for different reasons, and people are coaching for different reasons. And I don't know, I didn't have any like, oh my gosh, why am I not doing that? I just had the feeling like I want to make sure, and I don't know exactly how to do it yet on a team page. I think that like what Dana did for our team by having the retreat was super important, because I feel like that made us feel really together and bonded and like a team. And it's a little bit harder to do that on Facebook and a page, but like I want my team to feel that togetherness and to know that they're part of this like amazing network of people all over the world, really. You know, like there are people from, you know, they might live in the US now, but they were from South Africa and like other, you know, tons of Canadian coaches. And yes, we could. I want to live with you. But yeah, it just felt like really, Summit's amazing, but there are so many people there. You sometimes get kind of like, holy shit, what's going on? What's going on? There's like 30,000 people here. And this was like under 250 people. So even though I didn't even come close to meeting everybody, it was still really little. And like you saw the same faces, you know, for the couple of days that we were there. So it was really, it just made me feel really proud and happy to be part of the network that we're part of, because we're, you know, and even the stuff that nobody wants to talk about, like compliance, you know, speaks. And what was his name? Jeffrey, maybe?
Probably Jeffrey Armbruster.
It's here. Jonathan Gelfand? You know him? Anyway, he's freaking hilarious. Like he comes on and is like, you know, really real about how like compliance isn't really that fun to talk about, but he was so funny, and he was so like, he really like cleared up some of the stuff that's been going on and why, you know, it wasn't cool. And because I didn't even really understand the gist of it. So it just was really, it just made me be like, I'm really proud to be part of what we're part of, you guys. And I hope that you all are too. So that was my big takeaway. Sorry, I don't know if that was right. Can I summarize? Oh, the compliance thing, Sina? He was just talking about how basically one of the things with like, if you have coaches who are part of other network marketing businesses, the problem with it is that with the free lead program and all that kind of stuff, Team Beachbody is giving you all of these names of people, and those names were being incorrectly used by people, which we've all heard names dropped and all that kind of stuff. But regardless, basically they're saying, you know, if you want to be part of Young Living to get the oils at a discount, it's totally fine. As long as you're not receiving paychecks and commissions from them, it's not a big deal. But they don't want you, you know, emailing your free leads. Like maybe they want some oils too. Like you're into healthy living. Do you want some oils? So kind of that is what was happening. And so that's what they just want to be legitimate about everything. Like, you know, we're giving you these free names and you have your whole downline or your upline or wherever it may be that you're getting all these names from. And we don't want you getting your people poached and your people like the, I can't think of the word I'm trying to say right now, but they basically, I was trying to see, they're basically just trying to protect us and to protect our downlines, protect our free leads, protect all of the customers. Okay. But he was like very, very funny. So it was actually a really entertaining session. Any other questions? Sorry, Dana, that was like so long. I'm not concise.
No, I think it's great. I mean, I'm happy to have people keep asking you questions if you want to.
It was like several hours of sessions and time. That's like, I'm trying to condense it into like a little tiny bit, but you definitely all should try to get there. It was pretty incredible. So. Yeah.
I could probably ask you a million questions, but I missed the beginning, so I'll just ask you questions behind the scenes later.
Yeah. P.S. Why couldn't we talk today? That was like weird. Anyway, I kept trying to call Kelly, and it was like, hello. Colorado and Montana, they're not known for their cell service.
Seriously.
Does anybody else have questions for Laura? No. I think it's so true what you said, because events like New Leadership and Leadership are so much more, they're just small and they're very intimate compared to things like Summit and Super Saturdays, and you do really get those hands-on connections and get to ask questions that you might not have the ability to at other things.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think the bigger picture that a lot of times we tend to think like, well, I'm going to get to that event for myself, like to build my business, to like be better for me, when in reality, like you have a responsibility to the people you lead to bring all of that home and share that with them too. Which I think, it sounds like you really feel that, like you're excited to share all of that and teach that all to your coaches now too, which is huge. So I love everything that you had to share. Does anybody else have questions for Laura?
Really quick, Dana,
Yeah.
all of this means nothing if I don't put it into action.
Yep.
So that is one of my main takeaways as well. If I do not put this into action, it means nothing. It gets nowhere and it gets to nobody. So that is weighing on my shoulders right now.
It's the same. I mean, it's the same concept. Bonnie Engel said the same thing at our new leadership. She was the same as Ashley Smith and was like, listen, I was a 2-star coach last year and I'm a top 10 coach this year. And if I did nothing with what I came home with from that conference, then nothing would have changed for me. I had to utilize what I learned. I had to take one thing at a time and start to implement those and make those changes. And even just in terms of like team calls and national wake up calls and getting to Super Saturdays and things like that, it can be really overwhelming to like have so much information that a lot of times, instead of taking it bit by bit and chunk by chunk and changing things or doing something differently or trying something new, you get kind of overwhelmed and just think like freeze and don't use anything at all. So I think what you did of like taking notes of your notes is a really great thing to do. Same thing with like team calls. What are like your top takeaways, and think like, what can I change in my business this week? What can I implement and do differently to move myself forward a little bit? What can I tweak to change and make a little bit better? And if you kind of keep that attitude long term, then you just continue to progress and grow and get better all the time. What is that quote that says knowledge that isn't used is wasted? Or I don't remember the actual quote, but it's.
You're as good at quotes as I am, apparently, on the fly. So.
Okay, well, it is 9:20. I will give you guys the option. I'm happy to stay on and go over what I was going to talk about in terms of planning your month, or if you would rather, I can just go live in the team page and do it instead if some of you have to get off since it is late. First option, who wants to stay on now? Well, I guess you can just get off if you don't want to. I'll just go ahead since that's our plan. Okay, so go, Kelly. I I know you were speaking on the Aspire Nation call, so you've been on calls for a while, which was awesome, by the way. You guys have to go watch Kelly later. Okay, so I kind of wrote down like my top tips of how I plan my months, and Laura, I'm sure you can chime in on this now too with all that you've learned if you want to. And if anybody else wants to chime in on anything, feel free to do that as well when I'm done too. But I personally, I'll kind of give you a little backside of this, is like I am literally, when you guys say that you're unorganized, if you know, some of you say that, like I am literally by nature one of the most unorganized people ever. Always have been. It's just my nature. That was a really hard thing for me to start to learn and change in this business. And I still, to this day, am not the most organized, but I don't think that you have to be ridiculously organized to be effective, to do well, to have success, to create a big impact. But you have to find a system that works for you, that you can stick to, and that you can teach and duplicate to the people that you're leading or bringing onto your team, and just systems that work for you. So I really started to think about this a lot more when I got to New Leadership Conference, because I personally, at that point in time, just kind of like ran my months on a whim. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to run a challenge group on this date, and then I'm just going to run a free group here because that sounds good. And like, I didn't have any kind of a flow in my schedule or in my social media posts, or like what I was actually doing on a day-to-day basis beyond the vital behaviors, right? So I always just felt like I was kind of like here, there, like all over the place. And Melanie Metro did a speech at our New Leadership Conference about how she planned her months. And I took that and I came home and I started planning it, because I realized that not only was it important for me to know what I was doing, but that was when our team was, you know, still very small, but it was starting to grow. And I was thinking, well, shit, if I have no plan and I have no consistency, like how can I teach other people to do that? And how can I expect them to know what is up and coming, what is going on, you know, what new coaches need to be, and, you know, invite to or whatever, if I didn't have some kind of a set plan and a schedule for myself. And I really wanted to talk about this, especially, you know, in still the very beginning of a year, because I feel like if you make this one simple change, that it can really, you know, help you build a lot of momentum. But it can also really ensure that you're hitting your non-negotiable goals, and that you're never dropping the ball or forgetting about things that are important for you to do. So I'm going to start with what I actually do when a new month comes. So I personally, I'm a pen to paper girl. I don't really love, I've tried a bunch of different ways of doing this, failing forward, like I said, trying different things and finding what works for you. But I like pen to paper. I like to be able to visually see it. I like to be able to write on things. I like to have it right in front of my face when I'm sitting down and working. So I personally go to Staples and I get a desktop calendar like this. And so at the beginning of a month, I will sit down and I will write out all of my groups and my trainings and calls and things that have to go on there first. So like the biggest priority things that I kind of work the rest of my month around. So for me personally, I always know that the first Monday of every single month is when our new coach boot camp starts, which most of you aren't running that, but you still should know that, because you are sharing the coaching opportunity. And if you have new coaches, you need to make sure that you know when that's happening to add them to it. Go, Laura. Thank you so much. And then I always, with exception of when we have like weird dates happening with the health bet, I always plan my challenge group for the third Monday of every single month. That way, and this was something I also kind of changed up over time, but I start a prep week the week prior to my actual challenge group date starting. So I start a prep week on the second Monday of the month. So, and then usually sometime in that last week, you know, best case scenario, it's on a Monday, the last Monday of the month, I start a free group, and I just started mine today, actually, because I planned a brand new group and had to create the content. So I was a few days behind, but That's basically my same exact schedule every single month. New coach boot camp on the first Monday, prep week for my challenge group on the second Monday, challenge group starts on the third Monday, free group on the last Monday, and then typically in that last week of the month, I will run a coach sneak peek. But since we did our live sneak peek at our leadership retreat, I've been still adding people to that, and you're welcome to as well, because I've found that it's really helpful and effective. So that's basically the sum of how I plan that out. And then I put on my calendar, I have, if I'm guest speaking on any calls, I write that in there. I have our team calls for every single Wednesday night. And I just in the past 2 months have gotten in the habit of planning these calls ahead of time, so I know what's coming, so I know what content needs to be, kind of covered and talked about, and guest speakers lined up, because you can't just do that last minute. And I know that it's important for you to hear from other people about other things. So I plan out those as well. And then let me see. Oh, okay. So by planning this month out like I do, there's a couple reasons, obviously, why it makes things a lot easier for you, not just because you know what's going on, but because you can really kind of start to plan your social media content when you have this planned out, because you can think like, okay, I know I have a challenge group starting on the 20th of this month. Right? So that I know that this week, when the first of the month comes around, I'm starting to invite to my prep week right now that starts on the 13th. And then once that prep week, that Monday comes around where my prep week starts, I'm then inviting to the actual start date of my challenge group. And therefore, I also know what I should be sharing on social media. So, at the end of this week, I will share a challenge group invite post, and then I will do another one at some point next week, and kind of so on and so forth. So I know that when I have a free group coming, I'm going to make a post about that. You can write it on your calendar. If you say like, okay, I have a free group starting on the 27th, so I'm going to post about my free group on the 22nd and on the 25th. But you can kind of plan out when you need to make those posts for, so that if you're someone that struggles with like wording or content or coming up with graphics for things, that you have kind of an idea of when you need to make those things and when you should be posting them, so that you're not posting last minute or you forget and then you're scrambling. But that has helped me big time. And then also, if you want to kind of break that down even further into talking about social media, for example, when you have a challenge group that you know is coming up, you can talk a little more heavily in your posts about things that have to do with your challenge group. So you can share transformations, you can share, small wins and victories that your challengers are having. You can share progress on your journey. You can share, parts of your story. You can share Throwback Thursdays, Transformation Tuesdays. You can share different things that you're learning about mindset. You can share recipes and things that you're actually sharing with your challenge group, and say like, this is a recipe I shared with my challenge group tonight. I actually did that with my dinner tonight, with a recipe that I'd shared for my free group. But it really kind of helps you like breadcrumb what you should be sharing and when to really add that value, to really gain that following, for people to really get a deeper understanding of what you're doing. So that if you've never read the book, I think it's called Jab, 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 Right Hook. It's a really great book about social media. And it talks about how like all the little things that I just mentioned, like transformations, recipes, the small wins, your personal journey, all of those things are basically your jab, jab, jabs. And then your right hook is when you make that post, it's an invite to whatever you are inviting them to, whether that is you're talking about a new coach boot camp, you're talking about a challenge group, you're talking about a free group or a sneak peek. But that is your right hook, where it's like, I'm giving you all this value and information and content and kind of giving you a feel of what I actually am doing. And then I'm doing that jab and inviting you to something. It also gives you a lot more control of what you're doing behind the scenes, because if you're doing your vital behaviors every day, you always know what you should be inviting to and when. And furthermore, you always know like, okay, I have, my group say your group is a week out from starting and you have like 10 people that said no to you, I'm not really sure, not right now, or you're in the middle of the forming process, by knowing when something is coming, you can easily follow up with those people and just say like, hey, I just wanted to let you know, I know you are super excited about XYZ, whatever you talked about with that person, and let them know that this group is starting in a week. I'd love to have you join us. I'd be so honored to help you. And it really kind of helps you know what you're doing and when you need to be inviting and following up with people to specific things so that you don't miss out or so that they don't miss out. The next thing is, let me see. Oh, this is a big one. But this is really about leading yourself first. And I really desire this year to talk more about this concept because I think it's something that I don't do as well as I should. But really talking about the fact that like, if you desire to grow a large organization and have a big impact and grow a team, it is really important to get ridiculously consistent with your schedules, with your habits, with your vital behaviors, because at some point, this is not all that you're going to be doing. You're going to be adding a lot more to your plate. And I don't mean that in terms to scare you, but just saying like, you're going to have to grow into things as you go. And, you know, I know for me, I really stepped into a role of leading coaches before I had any freaking idea what I was doing. So it's important to be kind of mindful about the fact that if you nail these things down, you're going to be that much better to help lead your coaches when they get to those places or get to those things that they need to start doing. And it's also, you know, just, I think for me, I've always kind of felt like I wanted to hit those fears and I wanted to hit those limits and I wanted to hit those struggles so that when I do have people that come to me having those same things, I know how to help them get through it. I know, you know, what I suggest that they read. I know a podcast that might help. I know a system that maybe they could tweak or change, but I know that, you know, a big part of leadership is you taking that leap and leading yourself first. You know, not only for your own goals, but knowing that down the road, you are going to be leading other people as well. So the next thing is about tracking your business. So if you don't have some kind of a tracking system, and you can do this however you want, there is Teamzy, there is Streak, there is, you know, the graphics I posted in the team page about doing like the 10-10-10-10 list, but tracking yourself somehow, and I still to this day track everything in notebooks. It's just how it's always worked for me. It works the best, but aside from tracking in notebooks, I have a whiteboard that I've literally used for 3 years that I have all of my vital behaviors, you know, written on in terms of adding to my network, posting on social media, forming, follow-ups, check-ins, coach check-ins, invites, business opportunity invites, personal development, workout, Shakeology, all those things. So at the end of the day, I can look at my board and I can ask myself, did I get everything done that I needed to do to move myself forward? And if not, then you know what you need to finish before you go to sleep so you can feel good about that you're doing everything you can to move yourself forward, right? Like I said, tracking, we could probably do a whole nother call on that, considering the questions we've been getting. Also, things that you can be putting on your calendars. Some of these obviously don't pertain, but I schedule all of my one-on-one coach calls on there, but if you obviously are scheduling a one-on-one call with your coach, you need to make sure that you show up for that. And if you're not doing them, you should be, because it's really important to connect with your coach one-on-one, but putting those on your calendars and making those a priority too. Writing down national wake-up calls or when you intend to listen to the recordings of those. Writing down your team calls. So I know for me, I literally like latched onto any and every single team call that I could ever get my hands on. So I have always made an effort to get on team drop the cookie calls on Thursday night at 8:30. Annalisa is now running her Aspire Nation team calls at 8 p.m. on Wednesdays. So I try to get on those before this if I can. But if you see like in Beachbody Champions or there's, different things that you might see in different places, if you're, once you're diamond and above, you're added to like a region page. So like I'm in the Southeast region page. They often have coaches that go live in there or do calls or do Q&As, but literally anything that you can get your hands on that will give you knowledge and resources and information, do it, take it. Like you are being handed the tips to success. You need to be resourceful with those things. And since you guys weren't on that call with Kelly that she just did in Aspire Nation, one of the things I heard her say, which I think is absolutely 150% true, she nailed this one. She said, you need to be committed to the 3 R's in this business. And that's being reflective, being resourceful, and being relentless. And I absolutely love those because it is all so true. Reflective, resourceful, and relentless. But it is so important for you guys to take it seriously because there's so many businesses where you are literally signed up and you're fed to the wolves to figure it out on your own. And you are not in this team. I do my best to provide as much as I can for you. Other coaches in the team are sharing things. You have an incredible upline team, under Liz Hartkey, a top coach in the company that is literally one of the most high integrity driven coaches that you could ever possibly learn from. So take advantage of those things and put them on your calendar and make them a priority. The last thing that I wanted to cover is like, how do you break down what you're actually doing daily? And I know that Kelly just mentioned, I don't know, whatever she just mentioned, but she's going to post it in the team page. But I personally, I was gifted this actually by Liz Hartkey. But prior to this, I would just write my daily to-do list in a notebook. If I could find the front of it so I can show you. It is actually called the High Achievers Playbook. If you guys can see this. I want to say it's like $40, but it's like such a game changer for me, just beyond having a million different lists every single day. But it has in here a section of like, make it happen. Like, what do I need to make happen today? To-dos in your businesses and to-dos in your personal life. And even prior to doing this, yeah, you got it. Even prior to doing this, I always had a business non-negotiable to-do list for the day, and I always had a personal list for the day, because I think if you don't get those things out of your head, it's so easy to feel jumbled, especially if you're working full-time or you're a mom. There's always like 7,000 things that you need to be thinking about doing and that you're responsible for, right? So I think it's really important to write those things down and prioritize what are most important for you to get done for that day. And I know for me that there's been a lot of things that I've had to sacrifice or cut out because they weren't important or they weren't moving me forward towards where I wanted to be. And in the beginning, that was simple. It was cutting out, scrolling on Facebook late at night. It was cutting out binge watching Netflix and reading personal development. Instead, it was, turning off bumping my beats while I was cooking dinner or cleaning to put on a podcast. Simple switches that you can make, but those little choices, guys, compound to something so much bigger over time with the knowledge and the growth that you acquire and just the hype and the motivation that you'll carry through your day every day by making those choices. So, sorry, I kind of squirreled for a second, but back to making a daily to-do list. I sit down typically the night before. I like to make my to-do list at night for the next day so that when I wake up, I don't have squirrel brain. I don't freak out about what do I have to do. I know exactly what I need to get done tomorrow once I get home from dropping off Declan at school, so I can sit down with my book. I personally like to use a highlighter and cross things off as I go, but I literally put everything on here. So first and foremost, I always put my power hour. If I have any, customer check-ins or coach check-ins I need to do, if I have any coach calls, I even put things on here today, like when you see me update the banner and the team page or the Success Club pin posts or Success Club boards, all of those things go on my daily to-do list so that I know exactly what I need to get done in that day. But for a lot of you, it's going to just be you're putting on there your personal development, your power hour, customer or coach check-ins, posting content for your challenge group, whatever it is that you need to put on there. And if you have your months planned out, it makes it a lot easier for you to plan out what those priorities are beyond your vital behaviors, right? Beyond your journey and social media and running challenge groups. You can say like, okay, I know I have my prep week starting for my challenge group next week. So I'm going to sit down and take an hour tonight, and I'm going to pick out some content, some recipes, and I'm going to schedule those for that group. So I know when it comes that is ready and rocking and ready to go. And it helps you feel more like a business owner. It helps you feel more kind of empowered and in control and know what's coming. And I just think that's made all of the difference for me. In terms of keeping my momentum high and my anxiety down, and just always, knowing what's coming so that I can be the best for everyone and everything that has to be done. Let me see if there was anything else I had on this list. Okay, and then the last thing that I wanted to mention, and then I'll see if anybody has questions, but having like simple scripts of things that like when you're doing your power hour. Like for me, I have a section in my notes section of my phone that like a paragraph that explains all access challenge pack. What does it cost? What does it entail? What does it come with? I have a script that, says this is what a challenge group is. This is what we do. This is how I do my prep week. This is what you can expect from the group. I have an explanation of what the 21-day fix is and how much that costs and what it comes with. I have an explanation of the breakdown of between being a discount coach or an active coach and being a customer. I have all these scripts in my phone so that I know a lot of you are like, Dana, it takes me so long to get my power hour done. It's like being mindful to make smart, simple systems for yourself, because you're going to be doing these things every single day for a long time to come, hopefully. But really embracing that, and it helps me find more joy in it because I'm not sitting there typing out the same paragraphs over and over and over and over. I just have those saved. So when I get to those places in those conversations, I copy paste and I send it, and I, get along with whatever else I'm doing. So that's been super helpful. The next thing is kind of having, simple getting started right systems. So I can tell you when I was a brand new coach for, the first couple months, I didn't have any systems like handed to me at that point in time. So for every single challenger, I was, sending them a sample meal plan. I was explaining how to use the meal plan. I was, spending so much time explaining things one by one. And that was when I finally created like a new challenger welcome email. When I created a file that was about like 21-day fix, getting started right. And when I made those in a way that you guys can take them, you can download them and you can duplicate them and make them your own. So you don't have to go and recreate everything. You can just use what is there and tweak it and make it your own. So that what I personally do is at the end of the night, if I know that I've signed people up that day, I go right into my Coach Online office. I, click on new customers or new coaches. I copy paste their email. I open my Gmail. I copy paste my welcome email. I attach, the file, and I send it. And I know it's done. I know they have the information they need. I add them to my challenge group. And just having a simple system like that has made all the difference for me as well. And it makes all of the difference for people getting started off on the right foot, because that's really important. And I think that it's just important that we always remember, the work doesn't happen. Night stuff. The hard work isn't actually signing people up or getting to Success Club. The hard work begins after we sign people up and actually helping them through that process of transformation, right? So that getting started right process and helping them feel comfortable and, prepared is really important. And let me see. Oh, and the last thing is that I know that I mentioned like working from lists. So like tracking what you're doing every day in terms of your power hours. Like I know Elizabeth Harkey has a whiteboard that she writes her 10 in playlist, like the people she's talking to, with a little like 2-word example of like what she's been talking to them about, whether it's losing 10 pounds or it's the coaching opportunity. I personally have 3 different notebooks. And in this notebook, I have all of the new people I add to my network. And then in the back half of it, when I've, formed with someone, I write their name in the back and I put an F next to their name. But having a simple system like that for myself is ridiculously important. And it's also, creating your schedule and planning it out like this, and creating your social media content and, constantly adding to your network by being consistent with your vital behaviors. It really kind of creates this funnel, where you always have new people that you're talking to. You always have social media content that people are commenting on or liking on, and, new relationships to build from there. You always have people in your challenge groups that are people that, like Laura mentioned, they're having that transformation, they're having that experience, they're developing that belief, and often those people become coaches, and then you have a place to put them at the beginning of the next month. And one of the biggest things, and why I've been talking a lot about free groups lately, is free groups are an incredible place to network with new people. And oftentimes people that are new to your network, they're too intimidated to talk to you. They're like, who the hell is this crazy girl talking about health and fitness all the time? Or why is she so happy? But they're not so intimidated to join something that is interesting to them or providing some kind of a free value. So, you can use one of the free group outlines that someone has already created. I shared my free healthy eating on a budget group outline. You can take that, you can make it your own. I will share the one that I'm doing now as well. Or you can create a simple one, like creating something that you're passionate about. And it doesn't have to do with health and fitness. It can be anything, like Nicole and Megan and Serena are doing a personal development group right now, which I think is awesome. But just creating something that you feel is of value, that you're comfortable with, that you like talking about or sharing, because that for me is like another way to kind of add joy into my schedule. Talking about things I love and sharing that free value and connecting with new people. Because after those free groups is a great opportunity for you to follow up with all the people that have been in that group and ask them how they liked the group. Thank them for joining. If they have any feedback for you, and if there was anything you could have done better or done differently, if they have any other questions. And then I typically also add at the end, if you ever need more help with your health and fitness or nutrition goals, please let me know. I'd be honored to help you. And that's a great way to create new connections and start new conversations, because now that they've been in a group with you, they kind of get a feel of who you are and the value that you have to offer, right? But it really just kind of creates that funnel for you where you kind of keep that momentum all month long. And that was what I was saying about, this is something for me that I always know what's going on in my month. I'm always easily able to kind of share with you guys what's up and coming, which is really important, like I said. Good night, Kim. And then just also, it also is what ensures for me that I know I can always hit my non-negotiable goals, because I always know that there is more people to help. I consistently add to my network, consistently do those vital behaviors, your power hour, sharing on social media, being committed to your journey, sharing that, posting about running challenge groups, posting about running free groups. And like I said, it just really creates this funnel to where I always have new people to talk to, new people that, I'm talking to about their goals or about my posts or sharing my journey. And it's fun when you do that. It's so much more fun than it is when I hear a coach say to me, like, I have no idea who I talk to. I feel like I'm dragging ass to do my invites, excuse my language, but like, it shouldn't be painful for you to do the vital behaviors. It shouldn't be painful for you to do those important things, because that is what we do. It's a huge part of what we do. And our goal is always to help and inspire and empower as we do that for ourselves, but that comes with some responsibility of ensuring that you are doing that to the best of your ability, right? Does anybody have questions? I know I just covered a lot and I'm speaking a million miles an hour because it's late, but does anybody have questions? Is that helpful? Yeah? Okay, I think that's it because that's all I wrote on my list. But since you guys are on, you get to be my victims for a moment. I just wanted to share this because it's something that I'm going to end the call before I share this because I'm going to share it later in the team page too. But